Good evening, everyone. It's Monday and it's time for another We Are Talking About You with me, Sonka, your registered nutritional therapist, intuitive life coach, and NLP practitioner. And now, actually, the leader of Women Business Club in Macclesfield. That's all I think. Didn't forget any of it today. I'm absolutely delighted to have Natalie Kerr with me tonight, talking about quite a big topic, which became recently, and it's narcissistic relationships, abusement in relationships, and how kind of people get into it, get out of it, it's big talk about that. And because kind of thankfully I've not had any experience of it, I thought it's important even for me to actually understand what it is. So I thought it will be really good to talk about that, whether you are going through it or possibly maybe in it, you may not even know, or if you are just observing somebody else's relationship as a friend, which would be a case for me. So from all aspects, we'll be talking about it today with Natalie Kerr. Hello, Natalie. Thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Right. That's fine.
Would you like to say something about you to our listeners and audience in general?
Yeah. So I'm a divorce and breakup coach and also a master NLP practitioner, like Sonka. I've got two arms to me. So I'm a business and mindset coach, and then a divorce and breakup coach. So I specialize in narcissistic abuse for the divorce and breakup side of things. So that's just helping women like gain back the confidence, take back the power, and feel worthy again after narcissistic abuse, codependency, and divorce.
Fantastic. That's absolutely beautiful. Great mission. So there is quite a lot of talk about it recently. It seems like it's just resurfaced, or kind of, well, we just realized that there is this kind of relationship. Before that, I guess it's just, it was called, well, you're just unlucky, a little bit to find men like that. But before we get to it, because it was a lot said about it already, and it's never enough, don't get me wrong, but I would like to go a little bit backwards where it all starts, because both of us, we work with energy a lot, and attracting certain things to us, and by all means, I'm not saying we are actually creating this for ourselves as such.
No.
But we named tonight's episode, "Can you be or are you magnet for narcissists?" So I would like to start that from my understanding, there are specific type of people or specific situations. So when people find themselves, they may be a little bit more vulnerable and a little bit more attractive for this type of personality.
Yeah, I think because a lot of people are doing like a lot of personal development work these days, I think narcissist has become like more popular. And to be like a narcissist, you do have to tick like a 6 or more of like certain boxes to be a narcissist or to be diagnosed as a narcissist. So you can take yourself, or you can take your partner to a doctor or therapist, and they can diagnose you as a narcissist. So you do have to tick some boxes. But yeah, so I think that's why, because people are more in tune with personal development and wanting to know these kind of things. So it has come out a lot more, when before it was probably more of, like you say, oh, you're just bad luck. It's just, oh, he's just like that, oh, he's just got a temper.
Yeah, one of those,
like back in the day, like in the 50s, like they just put up with it, didn't they? Like it was just one of those things. And nowadays, I think, we're all a bit more like, well, no, we don't need to put up with this. And let's take some control back. So yeah, in terms of the kind of people that do attract narcissists, and this isn't like for definite, all types of people can attract narcissists, it tends to be like empaths. So empathetic people who've got lots of empathy, which a narcissist doesn't have. So a narcissist has no empathy whatsoever. So that is like the one major sign of a narcissist. If you've got no empathy, then as an empath, you've got loads, and you're a magnet for each other. You just attract each other. So as an empath, you think you can kind of like heal them. You think you're there to like fix them. You're a people pleaser, like you're all about helping others. Like you take a back seat and you just want to help this person. And also in the beginning, like a narcissist is very affectionate. It's almost like wow, this is too good to be true. You know, like this person is like ticks all the boxes, is amazing. We've got the same things in common, everything. And then that attracts the the empath, because you're thinking, oh, he's so lovely. You know, like he's got. And what they do is they mirror you. So as an empath, they'll mirror what you're doing, and that's not them.
Okay.
That is not their personality. They're just mirroring what you're doing. So if you're like very thoughtful and generous and caring and loving, they mirror that. So then you're like, oh, it's just like me. Like I've found it, like my soulmate. And then they change, and then they turn into the real them. So at that time they've got you and they've trapped you into this relationship. And as we get into this relationship, they at first, it's like I say, it's all like that, and then they'll go into a second stage where the real person comes into them, and also codependence. So codependence is another one. They do tend to attract narcissists. So a codependent is someone who codependents do tend to come from like families where either the mum and the dad have been codependent and they can like pass the traits on to their children, or as a child they've had like quite a traumatic childhood, so they've had like mother, dad who's an alcoholic, they've been abused, and it's kind of like that caregiving. So you've had to just look after your parents all the time as a child. So you never really had that childhood, and that's how you become codependent. So it's the same sort of thing. So you're a people pleaser, you've got no boundaries. You do want to be in a little bit of control of things. So you worry a lot more about things. But yeah, it's very different, very similar to an empath. So again, narcissist loves that and just sucks you in.
No, it's amazing. And so what is it before we move forward, once you are actually in the relationship, what to do? So is there anything when someone is sitting there listening and thinking, I'm this type of personality, so is this something you coach as well to kind of lose the trait or soften it, or being just aware of it maybe sometimes is enough?
Empath and a codependent. Yeah, I'd never stop anyone being that, because I think it's a gift. Like it's a gift to be an empath.
That's how I see it. Yeah. Changing it is.
And some people find it can be hard, like to manage as an empath, and especially if you have empathetic children as well. So there can be a bit of a clash between the two of you there. But in terms of like being them two, I would never ever want you to like not be that person. That's just you. In terms of codependency, there is like certain traits of a codependency, like a lot of you wanting to control a lot of things, and that might not be something that someone wants to keep. But it's more of with them type of people, with an empath and a codependent, when you get into an abusive relationship like that, you are sucked of energy, you are burnt out, stressed, you've got anxiety, you've got depression. So it's them things that we're trying to heal. So the aftermath of being with a narcissist is what we're trying to heal. Or if you just was like codependent from, you could have had a mother that was a narcissist, a father that was a narcissist, and you just wanted to heal that. So yeah, it's more of healing the symptoms that come from that abuse rather than changing you as a person, because I think that's lovely.
So there's actually lots people can do, because I say people on purpose, because it kind of, it's seen more as a men thing to be a narcissist, but actually it's so not true. It can be both. So when I say people, that's why, because it can be anyone. So it's not gender specific. The traits are similar or pretty much the same for both genders.
Exactly the same. So they're very like manipulating, controlling.
So do you deal with both, or you just concentrate on women who are in such a relationship?
Yeah, I do like promote myself to deal with women, but that's only because of personal experience, where I'd be happy to like work with men as well who are dealing with that from a woman's, because I've spoken to men who have dealt with that from women, and they've gone through exactly the same thing. I did some research the other week, and there was a guy on my Facebook, and he was saying that his ex-wife was a narcissist, and I got chatting to him in the messengers, and I just said, can you just explain to me like what you went through? And because I wanted to see it from a man's point of view, and it was exactly the same as a woman went through, which was quite enlightening really to see. And it could be like some men are quite empathetic, you know, and they probably will attract a woman who just wants to control them, or, you know, the type of women that say, oh yeah, I can like change them, and you know, like that type. So that could be him. But even with a narcissist, you could be like a really loud, bubbly, confident person, and that narcissist can see it as a bit of a challenge. Or would pull you in as well. So not necessarily, it doesn't always have to be like the softer side, the softly spoken, shy types. It can be like really,
which is your example really, because you have a very strong personality.
Yeah, I'm an empath and I am codependent, but I was like strong, independent, and I came out of it not like came out of it with like lots of limiting beliefs. I was questioning my sanity. I just came out of it with just complete mess, anxiety, depression.
So when you found out that actually this is the case, I assume it wasn't just one day woke up and you had a realization that actually my other half is narcissist and I'm in this abusive relationship. You kind of build up. So you had that personality and you had that strength to remove yourself from it. Because from what I understand, while you're in it, any capacity, any energy to do any inner work and try to start working from within, there's no room for it. If it's like a full blown narcissistic abusive relationship. But also I understand that there are kind of levels of it. That it doesn't have to be all like a book example. They can be a little bit subtle. So can we just explore on that one? Because for me it was like you just know it. What I'm hearing now, and I'm speaking to a few ladies, they actually, some of them are still very sure or very unsure, you know, until something significant happened or nothing significant happened, and they're still kind of like saying, should I go and should I?
And I was the same, and I didn't really know what a narcissist was until I left the relationship, and someone said to me, after explaining to them that, I was like, that's a narcissist. And then I started to do a lot of research into it, and I was just like, oh my god, that's him, that's how I feel. So it was real eye-opening. But when I was in the relationship, it was at first I was just a bit like, at first I was like, oh yeah, this is brilliant, you know, like he's like the best thing since sliced bread. He was great for kids, and then little things started coming in, and being an empath, you start to go with your intuition and you realize that something doesn't feel right. He has got a bit of a temper, and it just goes like downwards like that. So like there's a lot of like, if you was to like diagnose someone with narcissistic abuse, there is 8 and more like boxes that you need to tick to say that they're a narcissist. So they'd have like this grandeur sense of like self-importance, so they're like exaggerating all their achievements and thinking that they're superior. So they're the type of ones that you can always spot, you know, when you walk in somewhere and they're like, you'd say, oh, they're a bit full of themselves, you know, like they've got that, and they like to be the life and style of the party, and they're loud and they want everyone to know their business, and then they talk about like all their successes and the power and how brilliant they are, and they admire their own beauty, you know. They're always like they might be like gym goers, or you know, like, and want that constant reassurance of like, I'm body beautiful, I want constant reassurance, but you've got to constantly tell me that I'm beautiful, you know, like I look in the mirror and I look like this is from
but what happens when you stop doing that?
They hate it. They hate it.
How do they react? Is that when it comes, the temper comes and they get confused because they don't have that constant
and because this is what they're trying to do, is like take the control off you, make you feel worthless, powerless, so then they feel more superior about themselves. So obviously in the beginning of a relationship it's quite hard to tell that kind of thing. Like I was saying, like this is like the initial like love bombing stage where you you know, like you idolize each other, don't you, when you first meet each other, and you're like, you see each other all the time, and that's quite hard to then pinpoint, well, actually is that. So like next can talk about red flags, but so he thinks like he's special and unique. He requires like excessive admiration, like you have to let him, you love him all the time, and how nice he is, and you know, like
it's quite a good one actually to to kind of observe.
Yeah,
it's not necessarily for men to be seeking that kind of attention constantly.
No. You can imagine it as a woman, like a woman saying,
for women, maybe more so that there's maybe slight difference, but I don't know. Okay, fantastic. So now, when you're we are dating for identified, easy for me to say, we are in that relationship. So and now you just want to. The only way for you would be to get out of it. And this is not advice. This is another scenario. If anyone is in that situation, to kind of look at that point of relationship. You are in it. You know you are not happy. You know this is kind of damaging your soul, your body, your health, your mental health, and you know you want to get out. You made a decision. You want to get out. Now, what's going on there in your mind? Because sometimes, many times, children are involved. Your own kind of, am I going insane, or is this actually really happening? Now, what do I do next? Some don't have jobs, some do have job, but still kind of removing themselves from that environment, I imagine to be quite hard.
Yeah, and I guess it's just like any divorce, separating for anyone, it's very difficult to leave, and you've got to think of
is there partly fear as well?
Yeah,
on top of any other normal breakup and divorce.
Yeah, and I mean, I think everyone, like when you go through a divorce, you're fearful anyway, because you don't know what's going to happen. You're scared you might not have a house. What are you going to do for money? How are you going to look after the kids? You're going to be on your own. No one's going to ever love me again. You know, like you have all them sort of fears anyway. But then you get into a narcissistic abuse, and if you've got children with them, and there's never going to be, like, if you didn't have children with them, you could just walk away. The one thing that I would say is just completely walk away. Do not have any contact, and you will cut contact completely. There'll be no texting, no ringing, because they will just try to hoover you back in. So they would go through that idolization stage again. So they would idolize you. They would hoover you back in, tell you how great you are. They're so sorry. Get the waterworks on. You know, everything will change. 2 weeks later, be back to how it was. So if you don't have children, just completely break away from them. If you do have children, this is where it becomes very difficult, because if you do start like co-parenting, and they are very manipulative, very controlling. So even when you've got the children, I would not sit here and say it's easy, because it really isn't, having to deal with being controlled and manipulated through your child. So the only way then is to have as less contact as possible. So parents, when you divorce, you have like two children, you have your children in separate houses, and you do try to work together to say, like, can bedtimes be the same, and can we do this the same? But not with a narcissist. Just have, like, you have your way of how you parent that child, and I'll have mine way, because it will just end up where he'll just try to control everything that you do with that child. So if you do that, and then you just low contact. So I've known women that have a separate mobile phone just for the narcissistic ex-partner to contact them on. They go through husbands or partners that they've got now.
They think twice when they're going to contact you.
To have contact, because there is just they're just very controlling, and they'll still, because you've left them, you've insulted them, so they want to get payback, and they're going to do that through the children by controlling you through them. And sometimes they might, well, most of the times they will leave and just go straight up into another relationship. They disregard you. You know, you meant nothing, they'll just go into another relationship. Other times it is like that, where they just want to have that control, still want to know what's going on. And having a child is perfect for that, because they know what's happening with the child. Because what did you do this weekend? And they know exactly what you've done every weekend, where you're going, when you're moving house, you've got a new car, you're going on holiday. So it is hard. So yeah, having them like split, where he does his thing with a child, you do your thing, and then you only contact each other in absolute emergencies, like I've broken the leg. Anything else,
divine emergency.
Schooling, medical, that's it, emergencies, and just don't.
Quite radical.
And then because if you don't block them out, you can't get over, because you're almost addicted to a narcissist. You're almost addicted to that, like the hot and cold behavior, the love hate, that kind of thing. So we release chemicals in our brain where we're addicted to that. So, you know, when the saying is why we're attracted to bad boys. So like they love you, everything's great.
And then tell me why.
Chemicals in your brain. So the chemicals in your brain are just, you're sending a chemical that's like an antidepressant. So which then you become addicted to that, and that's how you become addicted to
like
bad boys.
any addiction, any other addiction.
Yeah, it is like
have a glass of wine instead.
Yeah. You can
or chocolate
to like your phone, like if they're, you know, they're going to message or looking at your messages, and it's not like you want them to message, but you're almost like sitting on fear of waiting for them to message. So every time a text comes up, you're a bit like
it's alert, isn't it?
Yeah, so you're on like that hyper vigilant stage all the time. So coming out of like a narcissistic relationship is like PTSD, so post-traumatic stress disorder. So you have the same sort of symptoms for that. You've got anxiety, you can have flashbacks. So the techniques to then come out of that is all about a lot of self-healing, self-development, to be able to, if you can separate yourself from them, then you can start to get yourself back to how you was before. But it's not something that happens overnight. It does take time, because
I can imagine, because the damage is done, and usually damage has been there, or kind of adding to the damage daily for several years, because most of the time it takes time. It takes time just to realize, to admit, and to actually take action. So it's quite damaging long term. It's a little bit chronic, isn't it? For so is there a point or level of narcissism then couple actually can go and seek counseling, and the narcissist partner can actually let's call it change, or get support such that actually because it is very much mindset, it is very much healing needed kind of character, because obviously the traits are from either abuse or parents or something happening in a childhood most of the time. So is there anything, is there a chance, is there a hope for a couple, or is the only way
I think if the narcissist admits that he's got all these problems and he wants to go get help, then
how do you do that?
So he would get help from a therapist. So
how do you are they able to admit that?
No, so that's another thing.
It's like, there's a good one.
Like if, like I was saying, you've got like the list of narcissistic traits, and if you can tick off 6 or more, then you can be classed as a narcissist. But some might just have, we've all got narcissistic traits in us, so that's why it's hard to spot. We've all got these one little ways. So when you go through the whole list and he's ticking more, and you're just ticking them all, then you know, like, for sure. But if they've only got like 3 or 4, it could be just down to like inner child work that needs doing. So they could just go to like hypnotherapist or NLP practitioner and just work with like the inner child and do that kind of work, and do like the NLP techniques and do that kind of thing. But normally they never admit that they've got a problem. They've never got, sure, you've got the problem, they've never got the problem. Or if they do, they're doing it just for the sake of keeping hold of you. So they will go into the therapist and probably manipulate them. And if they're not trained in narcissistic abuse, or they get like
pulled into it.
Pulled into it where they're being very, very nice, and that can
charming.
Be charming is the word. Everybody loves it on the outside, because there's like 2 types of narcissists. You've got covert, which is the one that's like outlandish. This would be like where you get your physical abuse, sexual abuse, violence, aggressive. They do it in public, they do it in behind the closed doors. Then you've got the overt narcissist, which is the one behind closed doors. So this is the one where on the front they look great. Everyone thinks, what's wrong with her? You know, she's got an amazing partner, husband, he's brilliant, he's so caring, and then behind closed doors, this is where he's controlling, manipulating you, putting you down, gaslighting you, and you just, that's how you then feel like you can't tell anyone, because you think everyone will just think, oh, she's just making it up. Everyone has bad days, everyone has bad days with their husbands, but when it's continuous and you do start to think, this doesn't feel right, this isn't right, you know, questioning myself. They've got a really good ability of, call it gaslighting, which is you're questioning yourself as a person. They've almost taken your identity away. So if you were completely different when you first started going out, you should still be kind of the same. You know, we all evolve and we all change, but if you're a completely different person and you've lost your sense of self, then that is one big like pointer of like gaslighting. So like for example, you would see them do something or they'd done something and you would confront them about it and they just say, no, I haven't, like completely out lie and just say, you know, I think you've just, yeah, you must have dreamt that or you've made that up. And then you question yourself, what? When someone tells you you're lying and you know you're not lying, it's like that feeling like every day. And then till you get to the point where you think, am I? You know, is it like I came out just thinking, am I the one that's like
making all this up? You said you've got some red flags for us, and I'm sure we mentioned some of them, if not most of them. But can we just summarize on them?
Yes, the red flags. This is when you're like first starting in a relationship. Again, it can be quite hard to tell because some of these are just very similar to when you are starting a relationship and you're very loved up and so like
be aware.
Just go where you go with your intuition. So like excessive contact. So they constantly want to be ringing you, texting you, always leaving voicemails, and if you don't respond within like immediately or whatever, they get really upset and they want to know why you've not responded straight away. So they that's like one of them. They can get a bit like physically aggressive, so a bit like playful, a bit like pushing you, grabbing you a little bit too hard. You know, you just think, oh, that was a bit, you know, a bit too hard. And like playful, it's just play fighting. So they can be like rude to other people. So say you went into a restaurant and they're rude to like waitresses or people just in general, then you kind of think, oh, you know, they've not got any empathy. So like they provoke you, telling you what you should and shouldn't wear, who you should talk to, who you should hang out with. They get really jealous if you talk to like any other men. But if they speak to any other woman or flirt with them, that's fine because they're trying to make you jealous, but you can't do it. Like sarcastic put me downs. They go like hot and cold behavior, and as I said before, like the charming, over the top, the gestures, the gifts, and then they can be like lying. They can lie and then they can disappear for days. You know, like just disappear for a few days, no contact, and then out of the blue just turn back up.
Okay,
they're like the red flags to look out for.
Fantastic.
So they say, like some of them are like, a little bit. It's like some people, you know, you might just have like a sarcastic husband.
It's all about awareness, Natalie, isn't it? We are not trying to kind of make anyone suspicious or anything like that.
No.
But equally, it's important for anyone to be aware, and especially and usually when someone will be listening to this or is listening, when you've got that suspicion already. You know, sometimes all you need is someone actually listing these things, and as you said, when you started researching, that's when you start ticking boxes and starting to be, well, I'm pretty sure that I'm in this type of relationship and I want to do something about it. Fantastic. So at which point would you do you see couples as well, if ladies and gentlemen are lucky enough to bring the partner?
So it's good to do like a couple of sessions by yourself just so you can get a feel for each of their like what's going on, so you've got their both views, and then to be able to bring them both together and just to see what they're like together, because obviously if the narcissist trying to manipulate the therapist, and then you want to hear it from the woman's side of the story about having the fear of what to say in front of the partner, and then you can get them both together and do that. But if there was like a full diagnosed narcissist, then it wouldn't be a very nice relationship to be in. So kind of like putting a band-aid on it, you know. Like for me, I was like, have some self-respect and just get out and be happy, because even though you love that person and you want to be with them, if it's not bringing you happiness, it's not bringing you joy, and you're constantly going to be walking on eggshells and wondering what mood they're going to be in, it's not a relationship.
No, it doesn't sound liberating at all.
No.
You don't have time to think about what you love or what you want to do. So you're completely devoted. The way you don't want to be to the person. So at which point, I've got two questions. First, at which point do you see ladies or gentlemen, if they're in that relationship, or at any point through that process?
Yeah. I mean, it is better if they've left the relationship, and then we can start working on the healing, like healing them if they're in the relationship, or if they're, because sometimes the friends might realize that they're in that relationship, and the friend will come and say, I think my friend's in a narcissistic relationship, what can we do? And I just said, I can't do anything until she's ready to actually come to me, because it won't work. Like nothing, it's like anything, isn't it? Like any sort of addiction. Not ready. You're not ready. If you don't want help, you've just got your blinkers on and you don't want to admit to it, then I can't do anything. But it's better when you've left the relationship, and then we can start working on getting like an
capacity and time and energy to concentrate on yourself. Do I understand correctly that you actually don't diagnose narcissism?
No, I don't. I was sending to a doctor to get diagnosed with that. I can say like my opinion, but I'm not medically trained, so I wouldn't want to.
It's just to make it clear that when we say diagnose, it has to be already diagnosed by a professional. You can just give advice or kind of, yes, probably that's it. If somebody is in doubt and has more trust in you rather than going to doctors, because obviously the other person has to or must want to go there and get diagnosed. So it's not that simple. Brilliant. Do you have any offers for us, or how ladies can reach you? What's the best way? So obviously everything is confidential. There is no need to worry about that. It goes without saying.
So my website is www.natalie-kerr.co.uk, and on there I've got a list of I do like the trauma healing, so it can be a mix of the NLP techniques, it's inner child work, hypnotherapy, timeline therapy, positive psychology, and then we'll do a lot of like energy work, and then we'll look at like action plans to get you back to your former self. So there is a lot of different NLP techniques that I've got in there that can all work. So I've got a big toolkit.
It is massive toolkit. It's amazing, but this is significant. I don't like word trauma, but this is significant damage and to your inner self. So it does require, and everyone is different. So obviously, it doesn't mean that everyone will be kind of used all these techniques on.
No,
but you've got, don't worry. But you'll choose which technique, because we are all different. We are inclined a certain way. So you choose which technique actually works for whom.
I'm trained in trauma healing as well, so as a trauma specialist. So we can work with that kind of thing as well for like if you do have symptoms like PTSD.
Okay, no, that's fantastic. A last question for you. When you look at it, because obviously now you are trained, and you've not been trained in all these modalities while you were in that relationship and going through it. So when you look at it retrospectively, what do you see what may help ladies or gentlemen listening today? What can you do? What could you? I don't want to go to coulda, shoulda. But just as a therapist now, specialized in this. When you're looking back at, is there anything, any advice, any reflection?
It's hard to go back to like shoulda, woulda. Shouldn't have done that. I think
it's not possible, because what you know now, you didn't know back then. You've done best you could. But you've got the luxury looking at it back as a therapist now, as a trained person.
I think knowing like the red flags, I would have got out sooner. I would have realised, I've done my research, looked at all these red flags, and I'd have been out probably within like the first 6 months. But they pull you in, and everything happens very quickly, like in a relationship like that. So you're pulled in quickly, you're like bought a house, you're getting married, you're having children, and it's all done very quickly. And then once they've got like that control of children and marriage, that's when it all starts to go down. But so I would, that's the only bit. Get out sooner, like do your research, have a look, and then just know your red flags, and to be able to get out, because
hopefully it's shouted about enough these days to kind of raise the awareness, and there's lots of people like you or specialists in other fields, psychiatrists, which actually can support them. So there is somewhere to go these days, which makes it hopefully a little bit easier, because nobody should be struggling through a relationship like that.
No, definitely not.
Oh, it was absolutely wonderful talking to you, Natalie. Thank you very much. This is topic which I was very interested in case I can observe and someone comes my way from my friends, because obviously, as you said, that outside the observer is very important in this case. And can actually make some difference. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it. We'll post the website and everything what you want me to under the video, so people can actually get in touch, and we'll share it on YouTube and everywhere. So if you didn't catch us tonight, you can listen to it and watch it any other time. It was absolutely amazing having you here, Natalie. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye bye.